What is up, everybody, and welcome into the DNVR Nuggets Pregame Show presented by DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook app. Top number one rated sportsbook app. Use the promo code DNVR. Download it onto your phone right now or have it ready because later in the show we're going to be telling you can't miss bets. It's not like when I wasn't here and the guys gave you nothing but horrible betting advice. I'm here to save the day and to make you some money.
I can't wait till you go over 3.
I was 2-0 last week, or last game.
You were?
Absolutely.
I should have followed your bets then. All right, I'm here joined by Brendan Vogt in the flower shirt.
Yeah, I thought I'd change things up today and wear a flower shirt, guys. What do you think?
Don't you always wear flowers?
Yeah, that was the joke.
Oh.
Good start.
You and Michael Malone need to work on your delivery.
Our
or
delivery.
I need to work on my ability
Yeah,
to process
that's it.
jokes.
I think that's it.
Over here in the rugby jersey, we got Duvalier, Superstar Dev.
2 times straight. Hello to everyone out there. I'm glad that you guys are here with us. They're playing Portland.
They are playing Portland. It's the ultimate pot smokers matchup.
That's
Nuggets
right.
versus Blazers,
Not
baby.
us, though.
Not us, though. Yeah, that's not a joke for us. We got a lot to get to tonight. As always, we have some game notes to let you know what's happening. Some interesting comments made from Michael Malone in the pregame. I thought interesting relative to what can be said in the pregame. We got to update a status on Michael Porter. We're going to talk about Carmelo. It's been 10 years, boys. 10 years since Carmelo left. It has been a whole
And no
decade.
one's talked about it since.
Nobody has
We'll be
talked
the
about
first
it. It's
people to talk about it.
Really crazy. A lot of people don't know that, but Carmelo played here in Denver.
That's right.
We're going to pick the perfect All-Star game for Jokic to win All-Star MVP, which I have some takes. On.
Can't wait.
And then later on the show, of course, we're going to be doing some bets, but we're going to start with game notes, Brendan. Tonight, who's in? I heard Michael Porter back tightness. This is concerning.
That's right. He was listed as probable. Drum roll, please. He's active, folks. MPJ's playing tonight.
That's right.
Everything else looks the same. PJ Dozier's out with that right hamstring strain. Michael Green, left shoulder sprain. Gary Harris, left adductor strain. Paul Millsap, left knee sprain. And Greg Whittington, lost in Narnia. No one can find him.
Real quick, is it concerning at all that Gary Harris came back for a game and then was out?
Absolutely.
I mean, I don't want this. No matter what you say when you talk, we're just having a conversation here. Whenever you say the comment section is going to be mad, but it almost reminds me of when Will Barton played one half of a game in the bubble and then we didn't see him again for a long time. And I'm not saying that's going to happen with Gary, but it's almost more concerning that he came back and then went out again.
I thought Malone was pretty candid when he talked about it, and you could hear the emotion in his voice. You know, they did not give us a timetable, but the way he said how bad he felt for Gary and the way it went down, it didn't sound great.
Yeah, I didn't like the fact that Malone did say that, but at the same time, he did say that Gary rushed back. So I think that maybe it was just like hey, I'm not feeling good. And we already know, like, if you rush back, there's so many different players that you've seen that rush back and then they're out for the whole next year. So I think that maybe it was a bit let's not get him hurt out there.
Absolutely.
On the Portland side of things, fellas, Harry Giles, CJ McCollum are both out. They did make the trip, but they're out tonight along with Yusuf Nurkic, that wrist fracture, and Zach Collins, left ankle stress fracture. So a lot of Enes Kanter tonight.
A lot of Kanter.
How do I say his name? I think
it's Enes. By Enes. Actually, maybe it's Enes.
No idea.
Yeah. I've got to say, man, Nuggets fans are going to hate me for this take.
Let's do it.
Enes Kanter's growing on me, man. He's growing on me.
As a player?
All around.
A
player, person, character. All around. He'll probably annoy me tonight. Post game, I'm like, I hate that Kanter.
Give it 2 hours.
Give it 2 hours. All right, pregame. Some comments here. 2 things that I thought were noteworthy from the pregame show. Michael Malone was asked, first of all, hilariously, he was asked how he decides, because coaches vote on the reserves, how he picks them, and he said, in a very straight tone, that I don't really care about that stuff, which I think is true. I let my daughters pick it. And then a reporter, a couple questions later, had a follow-up about his daughter picking him, and he goes, guys, I was just joking. I picked the team. I'm not going to lie, guys. When I was taking notes, I wrote down, daughters pick? Because I was like, I think he's joking, but I can't tell.
I wrote unclear, but don't be the guy who asks. That's my exact note.
Michael Malone's so funny too. Like, you know, that's such a tough moment as a reporter when you're like, I didn't get the joke. We're on Zoom.
The mask is on.
The mask is on. We're watching through Zoom. I saw some people complaining the other day because Jamal Murray was very short in his post-game commentary. Michael Malone very, very short. And I saw a bunch of fans saying, you know, media asking dumb questions and people don't understand. And people wanted follow-ups. Like somebody was asked Michael Malone about MPJ playing and there's no follow-up. Number one, you guys think we don't ask coaches this like almost all the time, this type of stuff? They give the answer that they want, which is like they don't have to answer with substance. They can just kind of gloss over it. And number two, this is the number one thing people don't realize. They mute you immediately after you're done asking your question. You can't ask a follow-up. You're actually like literally could scream into your microphone and that's it. So.
Hey, every MPJ quote you've ever seen, like about his playing time, that came from someone asking about MPJ's playing time. Right. I promise you those questions
that's so true.
do occur.
Malone never is just like, hey guys, I want to address Michael Porter's playing time out of the no.
Unsolicited.
Unsolicited. That never happens. So another quote I found really interesting, he was asked about Jamal Murray, who did not make the All-Star game. Shocker. I think, personally, I don't think he was all that close. This was a rough start for him. And Malone, tell me what you think. And you guys can go and watch the video of this if you want. But he says, if you want to be an All-Star, you have to learn to bring it every night. And I think Jamal is learning that. And he's getting better in that regard. This felt to me like a soft criticism. Not criticism, but he's just stating a fact of like, hey, man, you weren't great the first 4 weeks of the season or so. And to be an all-star, that's the difference between all-stars. There's so many players that look phenomenal for 2 weeks at a time.
Right.
But to do it the whole thing, that was like a challenge. And I really do think maybe Jamal Murray's learning that lesson.
I was going to say, I think that he's challenging him. And also, I mean, Malone could have just been like frank, like Jamal was not good enough to be an all-star, like to start out the year. Like you guys have been watching.
He could not have been frank.
Yeah, you could have. He really could have been. But
this was his this is as close as he could get.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Yeah. But also, like, knowing Malone, this was the most positive way that he could have said no. But he also is challenging this guy like, hey, you started off rough, but you're starting to get it together now, and we're starting to see, like, glimpses of who you were in the bubble or who we, like, know you to be. But really, there was no world or reality that Jamal Murray would have been an all-star with what we've seen, thus far.
And look, this was the constant criticism, or consistent criticism, I should say, of Murray to this point in his career. Right. We know the peaks are there, but can he be consistent? He comes off the highest peak of his career, one of the highest peaks we've ever seen, comes back and right away, he's not consistent again. Right. That issue rears its head. So I thought this was Malone saying, what he should say as a coach, which is like, hey, man, we actually do need more from you at this point in the season. And I think Jamal's figured it out now, but it's fair to say, like, you got to hit that ground running, and that's what Jokic did this year.
And often when coaches do feel like, even if it's close, even if you feel like, I feel like he was 1 or 2 spots below, a coach will say, oh, it's ridiculous that he wasn't considered. Malone didn't say that. He's kind of like, yeah, I mean, what do you want to say? Like, clearly not deserving. Zeke Naji, he was asked about his defense. If you don't know, guys, I did yesterday's episode of the DNVR Nuggets podcast was a notebook pod, very heavy on Zeke Naji's defense. When I went back and rewatched, number one thing that stood out to me over these last few games, Zeke Naji, I'm very impressed with his defensive awareness and skill set. And so I'm very high on it. And of course, the list up for DNVR members, lots of video clips that really highlight exactly what I'm talking about, breaking it down frame by frame in some cases, just to kind of show what impresses me about him. But Michael Malone shares this, he's also impressed. He says, I think there's a chance to be very good defensive player. I think he has a chance to be a versatile defender, a chance to guard 3s, 4s, and 5s. And of course, there's a longer comment there, but it was all basically raving about him and why he's so high on him.
First off, really, if you're a DNVR member, you really should go to that just because, first off, Adam puts in a lot of work to put it together. And it's also just like thinking outside of the box. It's not the first thing that you see. Like, he actually takes the time to break it down and give you an in-depth look of what he sees or how you could see it a different way. And then also there's just cool lingo
on this show before.
Yeah,
this feels great, man.
So I really do appreciate that. But also with Malone, first off, you already know no matter who it is, he's going to hype them on their defense and tell you the positives about their defense because he wants all of his guys to lock in on the defensive end. But he also lets you know that the versatility and what he can be is also a challenge that he gives to guys when they come in, because really Zeke Naji is already a high IQ player, but he also has the body and the intangibles to really translate on that end, especially being a guy that's not going to be a big time scorer with this group. So you do have to pick your spots that you're going to be in. Defense is where he's going to have to go, and all of the small things. So just hearing him say those type of things, I guess you have to really think Zeke Naji has to take those in and be okay, that's the way that I could get more minutes. That's the way that I find myself in the league, because this is the guy that determines if I'm going to play a lot. So I think that was something promising for Zeke.
I think you can tell that's what he wants to be too. Some guys just know where they are. Zeke Naji's not a star. I really don't think he's a star player, but I think he knows he can be an elite role player, and he's working towards that. And I'm really he's one of those guys that really stands out on rewatch where I'm like, man, he does a lot of things well.
I think that's an evergreen answer too. Like if you ever find yourself, why Zeke here? Why did he go to Zeke in that spot? That quote's your answer because he trusts him defensively.
I still didn't agree with the decision not to play Michael Porter last game, but that's water under the fridge or ice under the fridge.
Baby.
All right, we move on now to talk about Carmelo Anthony, who returns to the Mile High City after 10 years. It was 10 years ago, I think, on Sunday, or Saturday or Sunday, that the trade went down. It's funny. I've talked about this fact a lot over my 7 years covering the league. And it's crazy. I've been covering it 7 years, so I was closer when I started to when Melo left than to where we are now, which really doesn't feel like that. But I feel like there's just these blocks, these silos of Nuggets fans. There's like guys that were fans in the 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000. There's very little crossover. And I'm interested because in interacting with so many Nuggets fans, a lot of them don't have a frame of reference for Carmelo when he was here. And I find that kind of wild. Vogt, you don't really have any reference.
Yeah, none at all.
Being from Jersey. Dev, I know you have some Carmelo thoughts.
Yeah, when he came into the league, first off, early on, I was a LeBron guy, so I was like, oh, man. So I would watch all of the games.
Dev has some things about it, man. Just some things about it.
I would watch all of the games,
Brady.
and I would just be like, wow, like, this guy is cool, but I can't admit how cool he is. Like, he came in with the braids and the big headband and face-up game. He slowed the ball, like, the game down. I had never seen a guy like that was just so good in isolation and move out of the way and just let him go. And he started to just keep getting better and better and better. And I'm like, everybody loves this guy. Maybe I need to watch more of him. And then they brought in like guys like Chauncey and stuff like that around him. So of course you really had to like love it even more. But just seeing a player that could really score whenever he wanted to, and also have the same kind of trajectory as Nikola Jokic. Like when he came in, everybody said he was overweight and he was young, and you didn't know much about him. Even though he was on TV all the time, you didn't think that it could translate when he was in college. And then he comes in the league and he does exactly what we thought he would do and take over. I think that was just cool, and he's a part of the Nuggets history that you really should not try to forget about.
Oh, see, this is the point to me is a lot of Nuggets fans, I think, hate him. And I've never felt that way. I hated that he wanted out of Denver. I hated that every star that comes here, especially of his ilk, like the type that really is, like Jokic just isn't famous, nor does he really want to be famous. Like he almost avoids it. But Carmelo clearly wanted the spotlight. He wanted the accolades. He wanted, the commercials and the brands and all this stuff. And I just hated that every player like that was so predictably want out. I hate that he wanted out when the Nuggets were sort of on the climb. There was he did a podcast with Woj over the weekend, and he talked about how the team was rebuilding. And first of all, it's funny because so was the Knicks.
Yeah.
The Knicks were rebuilding too when he went there, so get out of here with that. But also, the Nuggets' rebuild, really, you could argue, was as, if not more quickly successful than the Knicks, because just 2 years later they were winning franchise best 57 games. So, I was frustrated with that. But I think you always, as a fan, especially a Denver Nuggets fan, you have to appreciate when players bring you good times. And Carmelo brought a lot of good times.
I really wanted to ask you guys that. The Broncos guys have told us about, one of those, that Manning Super Bowl, and it's like, they won, but the vibes were never great. It was not a fun year. What was it like at the end of the Melo era? Like, did it feel great? Were people buying in?
So one thing about the Melo era that's different than now is I feel like it was more monoculture. Like, I feel like there was just more people in the city that were into the Nuggets at that time, whereas now it's still fragmented. Some of this is the Nuggets shooting themselves in the foot by not being on television and some of the barriers of entry that they have made for people to become fans. But I just feel like that was one of the differences. It felt bigger when Carmelo was here.
I think the biggest difference was you didn't think about the Nuggets for a long time, and then he came and he brought everybody hope. So he brought back the attention to Denver. Like you thought about the old Nuggets teams that you never was around and people our age wasn't thinking about. So he made you want to come in, and then you could go back to the actual arena and the atmosphere. Every single time he scored or he had a big game, he really showed up in those games, and it was a packed arena, and he was like a fan favorite, and everybody has on a Melo jersey, and everybody's going wild. And that was the time of jerseys. You could wear them every single day and not feel bad about it or anything like that. So I think it was just the idea of nobody expected the Nuggets to be good, and he made them good. So it made you adjust to them, and you're still probably a fan now because of when he was playing.
He also had the perfect narrative. The Nuggets got Andre Miller and Marcus Camby the same time they drafted him. Nene was a year older. Like, they got some good pieces that all came, so it looked like, oh, Melo elevated team, and he did. Like, he was a big time player, but there was a bunch of they were not the same team in any regard. It wasn't like you added one guy and all of a sudden the team was good. That being said, I wanted to ask just like what the thoughts are. I know you don't really have any, but Dev, do you have like any disdain for, like, when you see him play tonight? Is there like a little bit of anger or malice or any of this, or like what do you feel?
Not at all. Like, first off, it's incredible that he's still playing and he's still giving it his all.
Yeah, that's true.
And he had, like, if you just think about it, he like was at the peak. Then he was out of the league and nobody really, liked him or respected him, and then he's built it back up and he's still going, and it seems like he's at a happy place in his life. So
that's true.
Like, that's the thing that
he does
you really
seem
think
more at
about.
peace
like,
than usually.
He seems at peace, and he's not a player that has to be in front of the media or in front of everyone. He's just out there doing the game that he loves. He's a dad now, and he's like really big on those type of things. So if Melo's happy, why would you be like unhappy? As far as the Nuggets are still winning games and they're still an entertaining thing, just let them go.
Would you feel differently if Melo was winning a lot of games in Denver? Like, would it be a little harder?
No doubt about it. No
grapes?
doubt about it. I think that the fact that he hasn't won yet has made it a little better. And I will say, I agree with you. I don't really feel anything about Melo. I want him to do well, other than that he's on the Blazers. But like, personally, I don't care. The only thing I care about is I like that record. I like that he hasn't won, and I hope it keeps going. Tonight, I was thinking about this. He still hasn't won. He's probably got 1 or 2 years left. I don't know what he's got, but it's probably not much. I would love for him to never win. They won once in the bubble when technically it was a Nuggets game, home game. Doesn't count. Not even sure tonight counts, to be honest with you. There's no fans. There's no fans there. Like,
the preemptive hedge.
It's a little preemptive hedge, but I'm just saying, I don't even know if tonight counts if you don't have to be booed or this or that. But let's move on now, guys, because the All-Star reserves came out, as we mentioned earlier. Now we have the full list of players. Jokic is there, of course. Trying to think of a way. He's a starter. He's going to take a little center stage. This is a schoolyard pick. I'm trying to think of what players you think most would lend themselves to Jokic winning the MVP of the All-Star game. Kind of rank them in order here, if you will. Do you want to go first? Who wants to go first here? Vogt does not want to go first.
How many picks do I get?
I just want to hear your order of players. You could get like a starting 5. So Jokic, you can give 4 guys that you think, make sure those guys are there.
So I would, first off, the only way that he wins MVP is if he goes for 20 assists or something insane, a crazy amount of assists, because first off, it's an all-star game, nobody wants to see him doing layups or anything like that, or the cool packages. They know that the reason that you want to see Jokic in an all-star game is the crazy passes. So first off, he has to buy all the way in on the passes. So then you think about, then you have to think
sure
about.
He was born bought into that. Okay.
Well, in an all-star setting, he's
not going to be posting up and like.
It's easier.
Yeah.
I think I already said, I think the cool bounce passes and stuff like that, for oops, is going to be on him. But also, I think that Steph Curry has to be in his lineup, just because I think he finds him, he gets hot, he's going to keep feeding him, he racks up assists for that. So I think that would be my
number one.
That would be my number one.
Oh yeah.
Also, I think LeBron, you just have to do it just because.
Really?
Yeah, just because he's going to be athletic, he's going to score.
LeBron's not looking for Jokic in an All-Star game. No way. I don't think he's going to pass.
That's the thing. He's not looking for Jokic, but he knows Jokic is going to look for him or just find the open man. So you pass it to the guy that's going to try to score. LeBron truly.
But will Jokic, are those good assists, or are those like Jokic just getting you look at the box score and you're like, oh, Jokic has 11 assists? I didn't notice any of them.
No, I think that LeBron truly does care about all-star games, even though he acts like he doesn't. He truly cares.
Oh, he does.
So it's going to be alley-oops and things of that. Like maybe he throws some backwards alley-oops or something, but you find LeBron because he's going to try to score the most.
That's
so you got to put him. You got to put him there. Then you probably. I wouldn't want to do it, but you go Giannis. He's going to score every single time. Or Zion, just because you get to throw oops. You just need everybody to be aerial attacks around him, and then Curry to be your other guy. And then you need someone that really does not care about being in the All-Star game.
Rudy Gobert.
So, you put somebody like Rudy Gobert. Because if you put Rudy Gobert with him, he's not going to try to do anything. There's nothing fun. Well, you said for him to win MVP, it's not my actual lineup.
But this team is even boring.
MVP.
You got Giannis and Gobert on the court for them.
What are we doing?
They're going to score every time. They're going to score every time.
Guys, go ahead. On a scale of 1 to 10 in the comments, let me know how good of a lineup Dev just threw out for us, because I'm feeling. I don't know how I'm feeling about this. All right, give me yours.
Steph.
Okay.
Zion.
Yeah. I like it. Zion in the dunker is like, he's like a super Fareed. Who'd you put? Giannis?
Yeah, I had Zion / Giannis, so I'm not going to do both of them. So I'm going to go Zion, but not Giannis. Ben Simmons. I still think about that alley-oop connection they had in that All-Star game. Fast break fun maybe with those guys. And then maybe Chris Paul. I don't know.
Yep, that team is worse than mine.
Well, it's worse for Jokic because you got Giannis. Well, I guess he's not on it, but you got Chris Paul. He's racking up all the assists. You got Ben Simmons is racking up whatever assists breadcrumbs that Chris Paul dropped. Really, you just have the Curry connection. Guys, I'm going to teach you how to do this. Here's how you do it.
We're listening.
I'm all ears.
Steph Curry. That's a lock. Zion, I'm with you. You put him in the dunker spot. You just have him catch lobs like you can't.
So far, that's two guys we both picked.
Two guys you both picked. Then you get Paul George. Why? Because Paul George can create his own offense and ice, so he's not bad at it. But mostly he's a guy that's just going to be passing and cutting and playing off of you. And you get Kawhi Leonard. Now, here's what you get. Steph Curry, greatest shooter of all time. Paul George, on 8 3-pointers a game right now, is shooting 47% on the season. He's on fire.
That's incredible.
You got two of the best shooters in the NBA right there. Kawhi Leonard, 39% from 3, but he's reliable, good cutter, good finisher, also good defender. Because let's be honest, not that this is an All-Star game. There's not going to be great defense.
Yeah, Kawhi does play D.
But they're both going to at least be like, making some things happen. So, and you get athletes. Jokic gets that team, and he gets 20 assists. If he plays like 25 minutes, that's 20 assists playing alongside those guys.
See, I just don't like that team just because it's too much like defense, and also like that team's just gonna piss the other team off. They're not there for fun.
What do you mean they're not there for Steph Curry's not there for fun?
He's the only one that's there
Zion's not there for fun. Is Zion there for fun?
He does what he does.
I think Jokic's completely iced out in that group.
No way!
That group is not giving him the ball.
I'm with you, Dubs.
And they're going to want him to play defense.
That's why I picked him, because they are giving him the ball.
We don't need him to get hurt in an All-Star game. He's going to have to play for real with that group.
Kawhi Leonard and Paul George are definitely giving Jokic the ball because they get the little handoffs. They get all that stuff. They curl to the basket. They get a dunk.
You just created the Spurs. That's just the Spurs.
All right, let's pick the guys you absolutely do not want him out there with.
I want Rudy Gobert on the other side so that he can dominate Rudy Gobert. And it's like, and he did it against Gobert.
Keep Luka off my Jokic floor.
Keep Luka off.
Luka's a chucker, man. Yeah. I'm ready for the label.
And he's just dribbling the ball the whole time.
Speaking of chuckers, I'm good without Jason Tatum.
You don't want Jason Tatum. You don't want Jaylen Brown. This is his first one. He feels like he needs to do stuff.
He's just going to play D.
Just move him out of the way. I don't want...
With James Harden,
Chris Paul, you do not want him with Chris Paul. You said that, but you don't because he's not going to get the ball.
So true.
Yeah. Chris Paul's he's on his way out. On top of that, he's just going to take everything every single time.
Julius Randle too. He's kind of like offensively, he wants to be. You can't have.
Has that guy ever passed?
Never. Well, I mean, he gets assists somehow.
He's going to be a tough All-Star watch, Julius.
So there's a lot of guys. I think Giannis too. Personally, I just think he does. Again, he plays that like
right.
I mean, his best position is center, but all right, let's move on, guys. That was you could send us ours in the chat. I'll look at them tonight when I go back, but I'm curious what people think is the best one. But now the best time, what's that?
Someone said that was a surprising amount of emotion for the fake lineup for All-Star game that would allow you to win MVP.
It's not if you could. This is what sports are for: arguing with your friends.
Baby. It's what we do.
All right, let's open up the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Can I make? Guys, it's time. Maybe I'll wait. I'll make my confession. I have a confession, but I have to wait. I'll wait for the post game show. I have something. I have something to share.
How the post game show?
That's so true. I might have to save this for the next time.
I know what you're going to confess. It's a real downer.
It is a real downer. If we now though open it up and take a look, Dev, you want to walk us through this? What we're looking at here for this game?
Yeah. So first off, they feel like Carmelo is not going to win in Denver because they have the Nuggets as 6 points favorites, and I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that Portland played last night.
Also banged up too, right?
Banged up, played last night. That's just tough. So I just don't think that's it. What's interesting is 232 is the over-under, which is a lot of points just because they don't think that there's a lot of defense.
117.
But they're probably right about that defense thing.
There's a reason that it's at 232. Right. So that's just tough altogether. But there's narratives that you could go with tonight. First off, they don't have Carmelo on here, so you already just got to look at the other side. Hopefully they have Carmelo versus Michael Porter Jr. match up with each other. That would just be fire.
That would be fun.
Fire emoji. Jamal Murray, it's his birthday.
Murray.
It is Jamal. We didn't mention this.
Does Jamal Murray go wild on his birthday, or does Nikola Jokic return the favor on his birthday?
What would be a better storyline?
I love swap birthdays.
Jokic going for 50 tonight as a gift to his buddy Murray would be an all-timer. I'm rooting for it now.
I do think though, like in terms of faith in the Nuggets, if Murray comes out again, lays it down, outplays Dame on this stage, he gets up for a game like this, that might be the most hype result to me.
It's TNT. I think that there's no question Jamal Murray like Jokic didn't care it was his birthday. Like he honestly, probably had to be reminded that it was his birthday. Jamal Murray, TNT, as you mentioned, against Damien Lillard, who's just named an All-Star.
Right.
And then on his birthday, I think Jamal Murray is very, very, very into narratives. And this would be...
He truly cares.
He truly cares.
He cares.
And he would love to do the post-game talking about this.
I went on the Nuggets Europe show today, and
Yes, you did.
this was the question that they asked, and it was such a fun one because Jokic really he might be like a little petty. He might be like, okay, you did that on my birthday. I'm gonna do this on your birthday. So that was something that
I like that you called it petty as if he was mad at.
Oh no,
Jamal.
it's fun. It's fun. It was a win.
Jokic very
First
upset
off,
about the spotlight.
Vogt, what is your lock of the game? Let's go with that. What's your lock?
I think
You have one right there
just
lined
toss
up,
me a
don't you?
bomb,
You have
huh? I don't have I have nothing. I have no lock, Steph. So
You can look while Adam comes up with his
thanks.
lock.
I'll
What is
come
your
up with
lock
one.
of the game?
Well, I don't have a lock either because I'm just looking at these lines. I do like Jamal Murray, 24.5 points.
Oh, I got a sneaky one.
You got a sneaky lock?
Will Barton over 12.5. National television, Thrill National Television reunion.
Thrill
Portland's-
National Television. Well,
Would-
he doesn't care about the Portland
But
aspect
not out
of
of
that
a
anymore.
revenge thing, though. But I just think, I don't know, does he get up for these games with his buddy Dame and a jersey he used to wear? I think we're due for a decent Barton game. I like that one at 12.5.
The 12.5 is plus money on top of that. So
Yeah. I think-
that makes it even.
Just talked myself into it.
That makes it cool.
I kind of like, this is a downer one, but I kind of like Derek Jones Jr. to make at least 1-3.
Yeah.
He's going to be open.
Yeah.
You'll get some looks. You'll definitely
He's
get
going to
looks.
be wide open. They're going to leave him open. He's got to make 1-3. We go to rebounds here. Actually, let's go to the points just so we can talk about them to preview the game here a little bit. So Will Barton, 12.5, as you mentioned. Jamal Murray, 24.5. That's really high. That might be the highest I've seen Murray all year.
Yep, he's been at 20.5, and 21.5 was the one before that.
He's on a heater. I'm telling you, that might be the lock.
And
I
it's
kind of
his
like Jamal
birthday
Murray.
on
It's
top
his
of that. It really is
birthday.
his birthday.
I'll tell you what, it's a lock that he goes for it.
It's a lock that he goes for it. I'm going to put a unit on there. I'm going to throw one unit on that one. It's a lot. I can't believe I'm buying in for the highest it's been. Plus, it's negative value, which sounds dumb. Michael Porter Jr. 14.5 is interesting. I think it's a stay away because of the back tightness. You just never know. Like, does it tighten up as he's playing? Does he not get enough minutes? Also, man, like his season has been like this. The number one thing I hated about the last game, he was on a heater. He was coming off a Cleveland game playing great. He had 10 points in 6 minutes.
Block
and then it's
straight
like he's
on.
in the doghouse again. So it's so hard to bet on
MPJ
him.
at 14.5 is a cursed line to me. It's like he either has like 10 or 19, and there's no indicator which way he's going.
And there's also just a guy for a fact that's just sitting there watching the whole time. Like, just tell him alone. Like, yeah, he's not looking good. Let's take him out. Like, let's just not do it. He's not running right. He fell down twice. Like, let's get him out of there.
I'll tell you the other bet I like. I'm going to put a unit plus a little bit more. Jokic triple-double. They're so small tonight. Robert Covington at power forward. Denver's so small. Denver hasn't gone to this lineup. A point guard alongside Murray. Michael Porter at the 4. I feel like that's a perfect lineup to really stretch Portland out. Is Portland going to guard Jokic one-on-one tonight?
They can't.
With Cantor?
They can't.
They can't, right? So that means they're going to have to help. And guess who you have on the court? Murray, Monte, MPJ, and Barton. All guys capable of cutting, of playing the DHO game, of knocking down the open 3. I like Jokic to really rack up some assists tonight. And if he racks up the assists, the rebounds probably are happening too. So I like it.
Yep, I really liked the Jamal Murray just because it's his birthday. But also, I'm going to have my lock as Nikola Jokic over 45.5 points, rebounds, and assists, just because I know that he's going to score. He has Enes Kanter, and Enes Kanter is baby food.
Baby food, indeed.
That's what we like to call him. He's baby food, and then also I do think that he's going to get everyone else involved because, I mean, Portland's not a great defensive team, and I know that there's going to be open looks. It's a high-scoring game. He's going to pass the ball, and we already know that the rebounds are going to be there. So that's my lock, and I have 5 units on it.
5 units on
5
it.
units on it.
I wonder if someone's got to go back game by game how many times he's hit the points, rebounds, assists, because it feels like a lock every time.
I have another lock for you if you want to bet another lock. It has nothing to do with the Nuggets game. Boston, Dallas, a minute 37. They're the lead into the Nuggets. A lock to go to overtime. It might be double overtime.
lock to start
Nuggets
this
always
Nuggets
end up
game
getting, like, we missed the first 10
8:30.
minutes of the Nuggets game because of the team before them. But thanks for riding with us, guys. We're going to be in the post-game show, of course. Hopefully it's a winner's lounge, but we're going to see you afterward. Thanks for riding with us. See you in a bit.